Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana. Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Janavallabha Jaya Girivaradhari. Jaya Girivaradhari. Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Jaya Girivaradhari. Jaya Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana. Yashodanandana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe. Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hari Haraye Nama, Krishna Yadavaya Nama. Hari Haraye Nama, Krishna Yadavaya Nama. Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha. Gopal Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudha. Gopal Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudhana. Giridhari Gopinath Madana Mohan. O Giridhari Gopinath Madana Mohan. Hari Haraye Namo Krishna Yadavaya Namaha. Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha. Gopal Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudha. Giridhari Gopinath Madana Moha. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Bolo. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Oh Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga. Nitai Nitai Gauranga. Jai Sachinandana, Jaya Sachinandana. Jai Sachinandana Gaura Hare. Patita Pavana Gaura Hare. Gaura 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 Hare. Jai Sachinandana Gaura Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Nitya Gaur Haribo, 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 Haribo. Gaur Premanande Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Paribhajagacharya Shtottara Satasi Srimad. His Divine Grace Abhay Charanaravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki, ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki, Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Prabhupada Anuga ki, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki, Nittai Gaura Premanande. All glories assembled devotees, all glories assembled devotees, all glories assembled devotees. All glories, all glories, all glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Oops.
Hare Krishna. So we'd like to welcome His Holiness Bhakti Swami Maharaj on behalf of ISKCON Delhi. And Maharaj will be speaking in English, so there will be Hindi translation at the back. Nitai Prasanna Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
I have to wait and speak, or I can just rattle off. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Nashta Prayeshu Abadreshu Nityam Bhagavat Sevaya Bhagavati Ruttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 25, Text 7 and 8. Oh, this is Mukhari Kamritena Pyayamanah Swaparshada Vibhuda Yutapatim Apparimalana Raganava Tulasikkhamoda Madhva Asasvena Madhyan Madhukara Vrata Madhura Gita Shriyam Vaijayantim Swam Vanamalam Nila Vasa Eka Kundalo Halakakudi Krita Subhaga Sundara Bhujo Bhagavan Mahendro Varanendra Ivakanchanim Kaksham Udara Lilo Bhibarti. You want to try repeating that? Only translation. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace. There's no purport. So the next one maybe. Shukadeva Goswami continued the demigods, the demons, the uragas, that is serpentine demigods, the siddhas, the gandharvas, the vidyadharas, and many highly elevated sages constantly offer prayers to the Lord. Because he is intoxicated, the Lord looks bewildered, and his eyes, appearing like flowers in full bloom, move to and fro. He pleases his personal associates, the heads of the demigods, by the sweet vibrations emanating from his mouth. Dressed in bluish garments and wearing a single earring, he holds a plough on his back with his two beautiful and well-constructed hands. Appearing as white as the heavenly King Indra, He wears a golden belt around his waist and a white Jayanti garland of ever-fresh tulasi blossoms around his neck. Bees intoxicated by the honey-like fragrance of the tulasi flowers hum very sweetly around the garland, which thus becomes more and more beautiful. In this way, the Lord enjoys his very magnanimous pastimes. Text 8. Ya esha evam anushruto dhyayamano mumukshunam anadikala karma vasana gratitham avidyamayam hridayam grantim sattva rajas tamomayam antarhridayam gata ashu nirbhinanti tasyanubhavan Bhagavan swayam bhuvo narada sahatum buruna sabhayam brahmanah samslokayam asa. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. This is text 8. If persons who are very serious about being liberated from material life hear the glories of Anantadeva from the mouth of a spiritual master in the chain of disciplic succession, and if they always meditate upon Sankarshana, the Lord enters the coals of their hearts, vanquishes all the dirty contamination of the material modes of nature, and cuts to pieces the hard knot within the heart, which has been tied tightly since time immemorial by the desire to dominate material nature through fruitive activities. Narada Muni, the son of Lord Brahma, always glorifies Anantadeva in his father's assembly. There he sings blissful verses of his own composition, accompanied by his stringed instrument, or a celestial singer known as Tumburu. Purport. None of these descriptions of Lord Anantadeva are imaginary. They are all transcendently blissful and full of actual knowledge. However, unless one hears them directly from a bona fide spiritual master in the line of disciplic succession, one cannot understand them. This knowledge is delivered to Narada by Lord Brahma, and the great saint Narada, along with his companion Tumburu, distributes it all over the universe. Sometimes the Supreme Personality of Godhead is described as Uttama Shloka, one who is praised by beautiful poetry. Narada composes various poems to glorify Lord Ananta, and therefore the word Samshlokayam Asa, praised by selected poetry, is used in this verse. The Vaishnavas in the Gaudiya Sampradaya belong to the disciplic succession stemming from Lord Brahma. Lord Brahma is the spiritual master of Narada. Narada is the spiritual master of Vyasadeva, and Vyasadeva wrote the Srimad Bhagavatam as a commentary on the Vedanta Sutra. Therefore, all devotees in the Gaudiya Sampradaya accept the activities of Lord Ananta related in the Srimad Bhagavatam as authentic, and they are thus benefited in going back home, back to Godhead. The contamination in the heart of a conditioned soul is like a huge accumulation of garbage created by the three modes of material nature, especially the modes of rajas, passion, and tamas, ignorance. The contamination becomes manifest in the form of lusty desires and greed for material possessions. As confirmed herein, unless one receives transcendental knowledge in disciplic succession, there is no question of his becoming purified of this contamination. Om Tat Sat. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guruho Shri Yutapatakamallam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sagitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabho Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Maybe I should wear my mask back. Forgot. I'm very happy to be here at the lotus feet of Shri Radha, Parthasarthi, Sitaram, Lakshman, Hanuman, Shri Gauranitai, Srila Prabhupada, and all the wonderful devotees here. This is my first trip outside of the place in the lockdown. So I feel very liberated. So happy to be here, especially freed. And in this holy month of Damodar, Kartik month, that we have the opportunity to hear from the Bhagavatam and be with devotees. Today we are discussing the glories of Ananta. We just heard from the Bhagavatam how wonderful is the description of Anantadeva, Sankarshana, and everything that was described there is very unique. He has one earring. Many people are doing that now, right? They wear one earring, but it's a very old thing, looks like. The originator of this is the Lord here, and he has got a waist belt shining like this, and he has got a particular color. Many things are very unique. So the Lord and his form is described here very beautifully in his various pastimes. So Anantadeva is associated in different ways, as it's mentioned here. You may have also read the initial texts. He is associated with the Lord very intimately. He himself is a Lord. In terms of service, in terms of this material functioning, in annihilation, and in terms of glorifying the Lord. Ananta, one of the meanings of Ananta is that there is no end to his glorifying Krishna, unlimitedly. Shri Radha Parthasarthi ki, Shri Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman ki, Shri Gauranitai ki. So there is no limit to his glorification, as you know, that the Ananta is going on glorifying, and he has never finished glorifying the unlimited qualities of the Supreme Lord. So that is a great quality of Ananta, that he is constantly glorifying Krishna. So some aspects of the Lord's manifestation as Ananta, I will just speak briefly, and then we can also learn something from that. One aspect is that he provides a very wonderful, cozy bed for the Lord. Directly. That I've heard descriptions from some of the great Vaishnavas speaking about him, that the Lord feels extremely cozy and comfortable when he sleeps on Anantadeva. Anantadeva is a super duper bed. He adjusts to the contours of the Lord. And whenever he turns, he moves. During Chaturmasya, he moves a little bit and goes to sleep. And he adjusts very nicely. It's a very amazing arrangement. Everything is very unique. I was, when I was my last visit in the US, I stayed in a devotee's house in Dallas. And he said, I want to give you the bed I am sleeping on, Maharaj. I said, no, I can sleep on the floor. No, he said, no, I must, because it's very unique. Because it was 2 feet high bed. I don't mean the height of the cot, I mean the bed. It's 2 feet high. And it had all sorts of arrangements. You could use an automatic button and it will lift you. And then you can adjust the inclination. I said, why do you need to incline when I'm sleeping? No, there are many things that you can do. He introduced me to a lot of things. And then he said, another button will massage your backside. As you sleep there are balls that move. I said, this is not a bed. This is not a bed, this is something else. Then he said, not only that, you can do this, it will give you a vibration also. Why do I need a vibration? I'm going to sleep. He said, all sorts of features on the bed. All sorts of features on the bed. It was very strange. But then he said, this is what people, it's a great thing nowadays, go bed shopping. And there are big malls exclusively dedicated to different types of beds. I thought this must be crazy. But when I read about Anantadeva and how he provides a very wonderful bed to the Lord, I thought all those features are more than covered. More than covered. So I heard some Sri Vaishnava describing this very nicely. He said the ocean is like a milk foam. And he said Anantadeva's texture is softer than the milk foam for the Lord to sleep on. It's not hard, it's very smooth, it's like sleeping on liquid. You know, people get bed sores, they have a water bed given to them. I think you've heard about it. So everything that the human beings do and want perfect is already available in a much wonderful way, in a very natural way. So Anantadeva provides bed experience for the Lord, and the Lord's bed is no ordinary bed. It's a living person. It's the Lord himself expanded, and it's so wonderful. So the type of service that Anantadeva gives to the Supreme Lord, so intimate, so close, physically close, and so apt, understanding what is required. One feature we can learn is to understand how to serve. That hearing that you want to serve, the different levels of service. It is mentioned in the Bhagavatam, Uttamas chintitam kuriyat proktakari tu madhyamaha adhamo ashraddhaya kuriyat akarto ucharitam pituhu. You will see this in the Yayati's pastime. Yayati is going around begging youth from his children. And then Puru, the last, he will say, this body belongs to you. I must give it to you if you want it. Right? Others, you know, Yadu, Yadava dynasty, he said that, no, I have things to do. I'm not able to sacrifice my body for you. All of them gave different reasons. But he said, Uttamas chintitum kuriyat. He said, one who understands before you ask that this is what you want and he does it, he is the topmost service person. You don't have to tell him to do. He understands this is what is needed and he does. This is genuine service orientation. That you want to serve. And whether you tell me or not, I want to do that for you. That's very natural. That is the spirit soul originally. Naturally his dharma, naturally his inclination is to serve. Uttamas chintitam kuriyat. That person who thinks and acts just by his prodding, that he requires this. I remember that I was being told that Tamal Krishna Maharaj, he had that sense that several Prabhupada disciples told me that Prabhupada would just look at him and immediately he will do. Even the smallest thing, I was told this, that if he looks at him, he knows that Prabhupada wants water, bring water. He looks at him and says, the window has to be opened, there's no breeze. He just knows it, just knew it. And Prabhupada was very pleased with him. If you read that Servant of the Servant, Prabhupada got up from his desk and embraced and told him that you are my real son. So much he pleased Prabhupada. Learning how to serve and without any inhibitions, allowing that to flow and going and serving. So you'll see that when we perform service, we have many considerations that come inside. Should I not? And we get blocked in many ways. Natural service. When I hear about Anantadeva's glories, I think that this is very natural. We are all supposed to be situated naturally in our service attitude and naturally be engaged in service. And in that we are Satchitananda, we are experiencing bliss. That is one good aspect that we can learn from Anantadeva. This beautiful Anantadeva you can worship. I was introduced to, in Udupi you have a special Anantadeva temple. When you take Udupi darshan of Krishna, you must first go to Anantadeva temple and worship him, and then only go to the Lord and worship the Lord. Very, very ancient. And I asked one of them there, the priest, why is like this, that we have to do this? And then he gave me a story, I don't remember very well. But then he told me it is famous, it is important to worship Anantadeva, because only if you worship Anantadeva, you will know how to glorify the Lord. And then he told me another thing, people come here because if they have ill reputation or somebody floats rumors against them and they speak bad about you, people feel very much. So they come to worship Anantadeva. So that was very interesting. He said that if people speak ill of you, if you come to Anantadeva, things will change. The Lord glorifies, Anantadeva glorifies the Lord. And he happened to tell me that if you worship him, people will stop speaking ill of you. I said, that is very interesting. And, guys who do all sorts of nonsense also will come here and, Anantadeva, please give me blessings. It won't happen like that. He said that mostly devotees come here. When people speak ill of devotees, and they are in some profession or they don't know that in ISKCON also this happens. And we also have many things going on. I won't speak about it here. But then I think it's very relevant for ISKCON devotees also to worship Anantadeva, to relieve themselves of some backbites and some things going on. For leaders especially, it may be very interesting. Why? I am, in my own understanding, is that he constantly glorifies the Lord. Constantly, with his millions of mouths and heads, he glorifies the Lord. When we hear all these descriptions, that's why Prabhupada is saying, none of these descriptions of Anantadeva are imaginary. We should not think it is some fictitious tale. We should not think it is some story. It is a story, but not in the way that people think. It is real. It's true. It is true. That these descriptions of millions of hoods and the Lord in his form as Anantadeva glorifying the Supreme, all these things are true. They are very true. So, if we worship Lord Ananta, another place is Ananta Padmanabha Swami Temple, Tiruvananthapuram. I remember that we installed the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya in the temple. And somehow we did that many years back. And there was a huge protest from inside the workers of inside the temple, not allowing us to install the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya. But then we showed proof that Lord Chaitanya has visited here. So they said, what proof is there that Lord Chaitanya is God? You are telling. I think he's just a saint. And you're putting the lotus feet of the saint inside the Lord's temple. And then we had to produce proof that he is the Lord. And we spoke the glories of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We did Kirtan there for many days together. And we went to the king of Travancore, who is actually the main person. The temple belongs to the palace. We spoke to him also, and he said, I cannot do anything, this is the way it is. And there is Sivsena group inside the Padmanabha Swami temple. They have their own office outside. There is Communist Party, there is Congress Party, there is that party, this party, all of them amongst the workers in the temple, and they have their offices immediately outside the temple with the flag flying. And well, that is Kerala. So all of them together got together and said, don't allow these people. And then we did Kirtan, and somebody told us that you have to simply glorify Ananta, Ananta Padmanabha, and you'll be allowed. So we did Kirtan for many days together, and we kept applying to them. And then finally the king intervened and he told, and we were able to install the lotus feet many years back. If you go today, right in the beginning you will see, and many devotees, congregation devotees maintain, come every day, garland and put flowers and do arati and do kirtan. Of course, for many days I have been saying that we should sit there and recite Chaitanya Charitamrita and Bhagavat there. Maybe now we are doing something there, distributing books and Kartik lamp and everything. But the point is that I understood at that time that you can't simply, because you are Lord Chaitanya's followers, simply install the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya there. If you want to enter the temple, you should glorify the Lord. You should be qualified to be able to, even devotees, it's not that you can be doing what you want because you are devotee. Ananta Padmanabha, very big story. I don't want to relate that here. But Lord Ananta, when we opened the temple there, we had ISKCON's temple, Krishna Balaram deities. And there again, I was asked by the deity worship ministry, Maharaj, may I ask you why you chose to install Krishna Balaram in Tiruvananthapuram? We are Gaudiya Vaishnavas, we should be installing Radha Krishna. And in a place like Kerala, would you not want to put Radha Krishna? We feel in the deity worship ministry that if Prabhupada was there, he would have asked you to put Radha Krishna. So please give explanation. So I asked the local temple president and the devotees there, I said, we went to Vrindavan, we like Krishna Balaram, so we put Krishna Balaram. Very simple, regular ISKCON style. I saw there, I put here. No specific reason and all that. So that's pretty difficult to tell the deity worship ministry. And then they produced a quote saying, Prabhupada saying, for a similar installation of Krishna Balaram elsewhere, Prabhupada saying, no. In Vrindavan, because in Raman Reti he performed these pastimes, Krishna Balaram. You don't have to put Krishna Balaram. There's a quote of Prabhupada saying that. So I had to produce something very important. I did study a little bit, Ananta Padmanabha and everything, and I spoke to some of the devotees. Then I understood that Ananta Padmanabha is Krishna Balaram. Padmanabha is Krishna and Ananta is Balaram. And Balaram visited this temple. Balaram himself visited the temple. You will see, he did not take part in the war and he came on a Tirtha Yatra. And in the Sthala Purana of Ananta Padmanabha Swami temple, there is Balaram's visit mentioned. I was trying to find out whether Lord Chaitanya's visit is mentioned, but I didn't get that information till. But Balaram's appearances, Ananta himself, he has come there. And he has danced and, stayed there and taken darshan of the Lord. So I wrote to the DD Worship Ministry saying that Ananta Padmanabha is Krishna Balaram. And there is no Krishna Balaram temple. Ananta Padmanabha's Vrindavan manifestation is not there here. And therefore we established, they became so happy. You never told us this before. You never told us this before. It's so clean explanation. So I said this is the Krishna Balaram temple is the the Gaudiya Vaishnava version of Ananta Padmanabha. People should see that also. And they should worship Krishna and Balaram. So the glorification we did there and the kirtan we did there inspired us also to explain and allow us to glorify Lord Chaitanya there. And in the temple, many, many devotees come. So glorification of Krishna, wherever it is done, it is victorious. Param vijayate si Krishna sankirtanam. Kirti means fame. Kirtan means singing the glorious fame of the Lord. And wherever the Lord's fame is sung, there is victory. Param vijayate Sri Krishna sankirtanam. So Lord Ananta is glorifying Krishna, and that is why it is a victorious glorification. Wherever Krishna is glorified, there is victory. Yatra Yogeshwaro Krishna Yatra Partha Dhanurdhara Tatra Sri Vijayo Bhutir Dhruvani Tir Matir Mama. There also it's mentioned that wherever we chant the glorification, will be victory. So that's the second thing. The third thing is, Ananta is responsible for destruction along with Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva specifically is known to be that person amongst the Trimurtis who is responsible for annihilation. Pralaya comes in and he destroys. But as mentioned, from the heart of Lord Shiva, where Ananta is situated, he gets inspired to do the destruction. I think in the purport here only, Prabhupada is talking about it also. He destroys, and there's mention here about him getting angry. Ananta gets angry. And he gets angry often. And why does he get angry? He gets angry because the amazing, wonderful creation and facility done by the Lord, for what purpose? For conditioned souls to actually get the opportunity to again reconnect with Krishna. So this material facility, if you read the second canto and other places where creation is described so wonderfully, elaborate arrangement done by the Lord. And all for the sake of accommodating the illicit desire of the conditioned soul to enjoy, to think he is like Krishna and enjoy. And then matter is provided, an illusion is provided so that you can enjoy an illusion. And then simultaneously also realize that this is useless, this is illusion, and this is the truth, and be introduced to Krishna and establish a connection with Krishna. This is the purpose of creation. The purpose of creation is not to get lost in matter and in material affairs and totally forget the reality. But that is what the living entities do. The conditioned souls do that. And therefore Ananta gets angry. Ananta gets very angry that you're misusing. You should be utilizing it properly. And he controls his anger because he is his Lord and his wards, his children are doing this nonsense. But sometimes, these things happen. And like parents tolerate the nonsense of the children sometimes because he's my child. In the same way, it's mentioned that Ananta controls his anger against conditioned souls. But at some times he releases, during Pralaya, he releases his anger and he fires up the whole place. So I think in the 12th canto there's description of how Ananta burns up the whole creation. Burns up the whole creation. There's a whole series of reverse creation process going up. And Ananta actually fires from his mouth, I think some 240,000 miles down in Patala Loka, below Patala Loka is where Ananta is situated. And all the universes are situated on his head like small mustard seeds. Very huge manifestation. And he blows out fire and the entire creation catches fire. And that happens at the end in Pralaya. There is first, full famine. There's no crops, there is no food to eat, and all the living beings eat each other like cannibals. That is described in the 12th canto in Annihilation. Then after that, everything dries up because of the sun. Then after that, fire from Ananta's mouth completely purifies everything. Then after that, there is rain, and everything becomes an ocean, full water, covered and totally purified, before again creation sets forth. All this is described. So in the sequence in Pralaya, Ananta plays a very important role. That fire comes out of his mouth and burns up like a cow dung ball burns in fire, it's described. All the whole earth planet catches fire and burns. So this is Ananta's manifestation and service. Everything burns because of his anger. Where necessary, you must get angry, is what we can learn. Other times, you must constantly control your anger. Ananta's function is, he gets angry, but he controls it and gives the living entities a chance. At a time when he has to do annihilation, that time he let loose his anger and fires up the whole place. So sometimes we need to get angry at persons who blaspheme the Krishna conscious movement, at persons who blaspheme devotees, speak ill of Krishna, make atheistic comments. It's very popular nowadays that many Hindus who claim themselves to be very educated, very liberal in thinking, and forward and free speech, they feel they can criticize and question certain things. And they make even fun of it. And they don't know they are hitting themselves. So stupid. You don't have information, you don't have education, but you comment. You don't know the subject matter, but you are happy to comment and make fun of your own tradition. So devotees get very angry when they hear, "You foolish fellow, why don't you understand first before you make a criticism?" So these type of people can really excite us and make us angry, especially when you have every reason for you to educate yourself. Born in this land, cultured in this land, maybe born in a nice Brahmin family also. You have all opportunities, but now you turn around, you become so westernized in your ideas, in your whole, post-colonial hangover you have, and you see things in a very different way, and you don't want to understand the truth. So Prabhupada, in his preaching, in his purports, he very strongly condemns those people who have become irresponsible and not bothered to understand what is the truth. Have not read the scripture, have not read the Bhagavad Gita properly, have not read any of these things and got even fundamental information properly and not bothered. So just like Ananta gets angry with the living entities, those who have knowledge about these things can get angry with those who are making comments without studying it. So sometimes we have to show anger. Hanuman showed anger very nicely at the right time, because he got an opportunity to show his anger also. He let it loose, he set fire to the whole of Lanka and came back very humbly. It seems Angad he was chastised that why did you do like this? And then Anga told him, don't worry, actually you should have set fire to you and Ravana and you should have come back. You did nothing wrong, very good. Quietly told him in his way. You're perfectly right. As a Kshatriya, this is what we should do. Where you have to unleash violence, you must. Non-violence is a stupid argument as far as Varnashrama Dharma is concerned. So from Ananta we can learn that as devotees we should not be artificially humble. You know, artificial humility, forcing yourself to be very humble. Prabhu, I am your servant. But actually you are feeling something else inside. But because you are senior to me, I shall always externally be. But I can't able to control myself from feeling certain things against you. But what to do? The Shastra says I should be humble, therefore I am humble. But you're not able to contain your humble pride, I call it. Humbly proud. Externally you're very humble, internally you're very proud. You might as well talk to the person, see, this is what I'm feeling about you. I just feel these things about you and maybe you should explain to me and finish with it. So artificial humility is not something that we should encourage. We should say what is right and we should get a reason for that, and there may always be reasons. Vaishnavas generally have reasons for certain things. We can get that explained. Or when people are atheistic and they're making these comments, we should loudly get up and proclaim that this is wrong. We have to do that. We cannot simply remain humble. In the name of humility, have that pass. So, these are some of the things that struck me when I just read the purport in the morning. I thought that these are lessons. One is glorifying the Supreme Lord unceasingly with all our faculties. Number two is becoming angry when necessary, otherwise controlling your anger. It's not that you should not have anger at all. It's very artificial. You do have anger, but you must control it. And then the other thing is to serve Krishna naturally, intimately. I think these are three important lessons from Anantadeva's characteristics described here. Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna. If you have one or two questions, I can take there a few minutes.
Hare Krishna. One comment.
Please.
Speaking Hindi?
हाँ बताइए थोड़ा.
तो यहाँ पर जो प्रभुपाद अनुवाद कर रहे हैं, नारदः सह तुम्बुरुणा सभायाम ब्रह्मणा संश्लोकयामास, कि तुम्बुरु के साथ नारद जी ने भगवान अनंत देव की जो महिमा है उसका गान किया ब्रह्मा जी की सभा में. तो कुछ वैष्णव आचार्य हैं जो उन्होंने तुम्बुरु का अर्थ तुम्बुरु गंधर्व माना है, कि तुम्बुरु गंधर्व के साथ नारद जी ने अनंत देव की महिमा का गान किया. तो ये भी अर्थ लग रहा है कि सही है कि तुम्बुरु गंधर्व है जो गान करने वाला है. तो जो गान करने वाला होता है तो वो केवल गाना जानता है लेकिन कविता नहीं बनाता है. लेकिन संश्लोकयामास का मतलब है कि नारद जी ने इसको श्लोकबद्ध किया, श्लोकों में बांधा. तो जैसे सुखदेव गोस्वामी हैं तो श्लोक में नहीं बता रहे हैं, अनंत देव की महिमा को गद्य में बता रहे हैं, प्रोज में. पद्य में नहीं बता रहे हैं, पोएम में नहीं बता रहे हैं. तो ये सब प्रोज है. लेकिन सुखदेव गोस्वामी कहते हैं कि नारद जी ने इस प्रोज को जो है पोएम बनाया, संश्लोकयामास, श्लोकों में बांधा. तो श्लोकों में बांधा भगवान यहाँ का है. तो भगवान नारद जी जो है उनके पास ज्ञान शक्ति है. तो उस ज्ञान शक्ति के द्वारा अनंत देव की महिमा को श्लोकों में बांधा और उन्होंने जो है तुम्बुरु गंधर्व से उसको गाना जो है सीखा. तो तुम्बुरु गंधर्व को अपने साथ में लाए तो उसके साथ में गान किया. और नारद जी के पास तो वीणा है, उनके पास वीणा है जो भगवान के द्वारा दी गई है. तो उस वीणा के द्वारा वो जो है उन्होंने जो उनका म्यूजिकल इंस्ट्रूमेंट है वो वीणा है. तो नारद जी वीणा बजाते हैं और तुम्बुरु गंधर्व गान करते हैं और नारद जी ने जो है उसको इस श्लोक में बनाया. तो इस प्रकार से दोनों ने मिल करके जो है ब्रह्मा जी की सभा में ये इस प्रकार का प्रदर्शन किया है. तो ऐसा जो है इसका अर्थ इस तरह का भी बनता है।
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. His Holiness Maharaj, you mentioned very well, and yesterday was the 44th disappearance day ceremony of Sri Prabhupada. From India to Indonesia, from Canada to China, we celebrated. Just you mentioned to control and express anger. It is mentioned by Sri Prabhupada also. We devotees must fight for their rights. How much we should fight and where we must firm and where we must be withdrawn from this step. Kindly mention. Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Oh, I think I already mentioned. You want me to draw the line where and where not. It will take a lot of time. According to the time, place, situation and circumstance, we should decide. It's a matter of detail. In principle, I have mentioned that it's not that because I'm a devotee I should not get angry. Of course, I'll keep my anger under control, but where necessary I should let it out, where it is useful, where it protects devotees, where it protects the name of the Lord. This material world is a place where the Lord gets dumbed down by forces, by certain people, demoniac forces. So there we should stand up and we should do the needful. The Devas fought the demons, physically also, it's mentioned. Why? Because you don't allow dharma to flourish. If we don't fight, then adharma only will flourish. Sometimes it is a duty to act in the Kshatriya mode, and that has always been the history. Lord Ramachandra is fighting with Ravana. Why? And using Vanara forces to fight, joining all of them. And you will see this demoniac and this devotee forces always at loggerheads. That is the history of the whole Bhagavatam. Right? The thing about Kali Yuga is both these forces last inside the person himself, and sometimes we ourselves have problems inside. We have to be. By chanting of the holy name, we can bring some balance, and we should definitely do this. And Prabhupada, you look at the purports of Prabhupada, he is beating up Mayavadis. He beats them up like the dhobi beats the clothes in those days, squeezes them and lashes, he does everything to them. Throughout, he calls them all sorts of things. The other day, I was reading the purport in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Prabhupada called the Vedantists. He said, Danta means teeth. These Vedantists are people who don't have teeth. Vedanta. He says everything necessary. Vedanta, their teeth have been knocked down by the devotees of the Lord, and they are defeated. Vedanta. And he makes these comments, and you can read in there. Then scientists, he will beat them up. They are fools, rascals, they don't know. Then you speak atheists, Mayavadis, scientists, materialists. All of them Prabhupada finishes throughout the purport. Yes or no? Yeah, constantly he is angered. He is very angry, and he expresses that anger in purport and in argument also. Wherever necessary, I heard when I was in Melbourne, there is one devotee who told me there was a big picture of Prabhupada in the room I came. So that picture of Prabhupada was like this, in his morning walk, his chin was a little up like that. And his other devotees walking with him, the chin is down, all of them, sannyasis and all. So it seems that, I said, very nice picture. You know what is special about this picture? I said, I don't know. Then he said, see Prabhupada's face is always like this, I said. Then he said, one reporter asked Prabhupada, why is it that you always walk like this with your chin up? One reporter asked Prabhupada, why you always walk like this with your chin up? Prabhupada immediately told him, that is because we can never be defeated. I thought it was a very amazing comment. So confident. That is a sign of the fact that we can never be defeated. Wonderful. Wonderful reply. Right? So we have a philosophy, we have a lifestyle, we have Krishna, we have understanding of the absolute truth. When somebody says all this is wrong, we should say, shut up, you fool, you don't know. You must say it. Otherwise, sometimes we need to say it. But we say it in a nice way. When civilized people, we say it very nicely, like Prabhupada has written, Vedantis means Vedanta without teeth. Very, very sophisticatedly it's written. But actually that is beating on the physical level. Yeah, we should do it. We should do it very nicely, but don't get stuck. If you don't know how to do it, don't do it. That also I want to tell you.
So nice of you, His Holiness Maharaj, for enlightening and educating us on the auspicious Kartik waxing moon 7th day and Tuesday, the day of Lord, great devotee Hanuman. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
It is my pleasure. I am highly grateful to you. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Jai.